Welcome everybody. It is Wednesday night. And Awakening, jeez, I really messed up that opening. And Awakening Soul Force Live is like on and stuff. Hey everybody, welcome to Wednesday night. It's Awakening Wednesday here on Awakening Soul Force Live. It is good to be back this evening. We've had a really incredible first couple nights this week of dialogue and discussion. Meditation Monday was a big hit. There was a lot of really great discussion around our chakra system talk and subsequent meditation around the chakras. And then last night we did some Tarot Tuesday where we got a chance to dive into card reversals, which I think was a new thing for us to discuss, and hopefully some people got some good news and tips out of that. I'm refreshing this because as usual, my Facebook woes will be over very, very soon. Go ahead and say hi if you're on. Oh, there's Tab popping on. Hola, Tab. Welcome. I'm gonna give it a little bit of time for people to pop on again. I was just mentioning how these days of my Facebook woes are numbered. Not only has the platform been giving me trouble every time I sign in, every time I log in to get a live going, I have some news about what's going on with the platform. Hi, Rebecca. Welcome. Tab says, were these new tees on sale? I've had these t-shirts on for a long time. I just decided to get creative and break open my wardrobe a little more. Actually, I've worn this shirt before. I've worn the other shirt before. And I probably did buy them on sale, though, at the time that I bought them. So that's a great question. I think I got them at Target. And we all know how much I love Target. So as I was talking about, the days of my Facebook woes are numbered here. Not only has the platform been a pain in my butt going live these last couple days, as some of you may have seen, I want to make sure I make an announcement tonight. I'll make one at the end of the night. But I'm going to be migrating the Awakening Soul Force group off of Facebook, the Facebook platform that we have enjoyed it on since, we've been enjoying the lives since April, but I started the group on here in February of 2019. And this choice comes really on the heels of Facebook continually not owning up to the very prominent role it has played in manipulating users' attention, mining our data for profit, and also for being, a giant purveyor of bad information, so-called fake news. It was complicit in really the sowing of discord during the presidential election of 2016. A lot of money gets spent in advertising on Facebook, and they seem to have no qualms about pushing ideas or amplifying messages that are very clearly not healthy for society. And what I mean by that is, yes, we have First Amendment rights here in America, not to get too political for a moment, but we have First Amendment rights, but hate speech is not constitutionally protected. So any speech that incites, promotes violence is not okay. Facebook seems to have some interesting perspectives on this, including its ability and its the acceptability of profiting off of really offensive and egregious political advertising that is not even sanctioned by and regulated by other laws that regulate television and the radio and such. So we're taking a move off of Facebook. August 1st, I'll be making the full migration off the platform. So if you've been watching and tuning in, I really appreciate your viewership, and I really appreciate the fact that we've had an opportunity to be here and to meet and to discuss and to share ideas. And just based on the way things are going, I decided the best move was to take the platform to a place where there is no advertising, that our privacy is secure, that our data is not being mined to be profited from, that there's no facial recognition technology on the MeWe platform that we're going over to. So it's as with anything, we don't know the whole story with everything that goes on, but it looks like there's some real benefits. One, you're going to see content that you meant to see. So no more algorithms that are going to bury the content. A lot of people will reach out to me and say, hey, I haven't caught this in a long time, or I didn't see that posted. And that's because Facebook controls the algorithms. So there's all kinds of stuff that Facebook is doing that is really not great. And it's not great for a group like this that wants to communicate, that wants to speak openly and freely about really deep and powerful things. And the fact that the content that comes out of this group gets suppressed for one reason or another, mostly to take a back seat behind things that are paid advertisers or algorithms that are controlled and manipulated by Facebook. Those are all not positive things. So the new platform is MeWe.com. Links will be going up daily in the group, so keep your eyes out. I should say keep your eyes open for those links. And I really hope that if you've been here for the last month, 2 months, a year and a half, you'll make the choice to go ahead and at least join the group over there because the lives will be streamed via Zoom, which I have found that it might give us a little bit more flexibility in the ability to interface than we have now, which might be kind of cool. It might be a little bit of a better platform to interact with, and we won't deal with the lag that we deal with here on Facebook, and maybe I won't have to worry about that every time I log in. I've been having issues with this thing the last 3 or 4 days. So I'm calling that the good news for the day. We're migrating off of Facebook for social reasons, for in the name of just supporting, or I should say not supporting Facebook, because the more our time and attention is on Facebook, the more they get to profit off of our time and attention. And I stopped watching television. I don't have cable a long time ago. Part of the reason is because of advertisements, because I don't want stuff popping into my brain that I did not invite in. Facebook is kind of the king of that right now. So we're gonna go to a platform where the content can be controlled. You're gonna see what you signed up to see. And if that's the Awakening Soul Force group, you're gonna sign in and see us. And then that's a really cool thing, I think, for all of us. I think it's much more healthy for us. It's good for our mental health. So that's the good news for today. I will do a little tidbit of that at the end again too, because I'm sure some people will sign on and didn't see it. So tell other people in the group that you know, make them aware of it. I'm gonna reach out and send a message to all of our 600 plus members saying that that's what's about to happen. But please reach out to your friends and family who are also part of the group so that they know as well. And that would be really, really helpful. Tonight, Tab posted some information there about, it looks like Facebook's the civil rights audit. Don't even get me started on what happened with the findings about the 2016 election. That was no bueno. So Marissa, MeWe is the name of the platform. Tonight, we are doing the Awakening Wednesday Intuition Challenge. So we are going to join together in a little meditation, a little reflection, and we're going to focus on tonight, a person. This is a historical figure. And we're going to tune in tonight and see if we can tap into some intuitive information surrounding the person I have chosen to highlight. So the one thing that I want to mention and I want to re-emphasize tonight, as I've been bringing up the last couple times we've done this, is I want you tonight to focus on just being open to whatever information, symbols, and downloads come through in relation to the person we're focusing on. And I want us to be open and focus on whatever information comes through and not getting the answer. Because I'm going to tell you, at least based on my experience, especially as our intuition is blossoming, you're probably not going to just get the answers as you tune in. And that comes, I think, with time and with strengthening the intuition. But also, it's not so important to get the answer. It's about learning how to break down the symbolism that our guidance will use with us to bring through intuitive information. So as we get ready to engage in this little intuition challenge tonight together, I want you to really open your mind and your heart and your being up to just receiving the information surrounding this mystery person that I have on the back of this envelope. So for the sake and the purpose of flexing those intuitive muscles, because we want to learn how to break down the symbolism that your subconscious and your unconscious is working with to bring through information that is not sitting right in front of you, that you can touch, taste, hear, feel, and smell with your 5 physical senses right in front of you. That's what this intuition challenge is all about. All right. Oh, Derek's providing some links there to MeWe. Yeah. Like I said, I'll continue to push out the links to the group. Quite a few people actually have already joined on. I think there was probably like 15 or 16 people that like right away have popped right over. So that's pretty cool. All right. So if you all are ready, go ahead and get into a comfortable place. And we're now going to spend the next couple minutes just getting quiet, tuning in. And we're going to open ourselves up to receiving some intuitive information about the person I have selected for tonight's exercise. Then we're going to discuss who the person is. I will reveal who that is. And then we'll talk about the symbols that you got, what came through, and we'll talk about what's paralleling, what's aligning, and how you might have been plugged into sort of the slipstream of consciousness that was bringing through information related to the exercise we're doing tonight. So, here we go. Wherever you are now, go ahead and get nice and comfortable. You can remain seated in your chair. You can lie down. Turn your awareness to your breathing just for a minute. Just become conscious of your breath. And as we tune in to a deeper awareness of the breath, take 3 big energy clearing breaths. Take a big deep breath in. Imagine a bright and beautiful light coming in through the crown of your head and filling up your entire body. And as you exhale, imagine anything that no longer serves you just being released from the body, exiting out, being washed down all the way through the body, down through your feet and into the ground as we connect to the ground and feel ourselves connect to the ground beneath our feet. So here we go. 3 big energy clearing breaths. Breathe in. Exhale, release. Big deep breath in. Exhale, release. One more time. Big deep breath in. Exhale, release. Go ahead and in your own time and in your own way, set a grounding cord for yourself. Become connected to the earth in the here and now. We're also going to open up to the divine light, love, and protection of the Heavenly Spirit. So go ahead and do that in your own time and in your own way. Tap in here, we're going to go ahead and set the intention to receive any intuitive guidance and information about the person that we're focusing on tonight. It's in the envelope that I have with me here. And open up to God, to your spiritual guidance, to receiving any information related to the person that we're meditating on, and begin to see what comes through. And I'm going to go ahead and let you do that now for the next couple of minutes. Here we go. As we wrap up here, I'm just going to help check in real quick before we wrap this up. First thing, we're going to ask if there's any other information that wants to come through that is visual in nature that can help us understand what we're turning into, and just open up to see any visuals that pop up for you. Go ahead and ask if there are any sounds that might be helpful. What would it sound like to be around this person, to be engaged with them in their environment? Go ahead and ask if you can receive any information that was in their heart. What did they stand for? What did they represent? What were their beliefs? Ask what it might feel like to have known this person or to have been engaged with the activities that they were engaged in. And finally, ask if there's any information about the geography, like where was this person located, or what's a prominent location or connection that they have when they were here. All right, go ahead and take 3 big, deep clearing breaths just to reset your energy. Big deep breath in, filling yourself up with light. Exhale, release. Big deep breath in. Exhale, release. One more time, big deep breath in. Release. Just becoming aware of the here and now again. Go ahead and give thanks for this opportunity to connect. Give thanks for this opportunity to sit and meditate and receive information. And as I always like to do when I wrap up all meditations is let's give thanks for this opportunity to get to be alive and breathing. And whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and open your eyes. And we'll let this fine tune from Iran Garcia and the Awakening Soul Force Meditation album carry us out for the next 30 seconds. Say hello to Teresa, Nicole, welcome. Hope you all had an opportunity to kind of jump into the meditation here. Okay, everybody, go ahead and, if you're up for it, write down any information, images, thoughts, sounds, inspirations, feelings, and sensations that might have come up for you in this meditation tonight. Go ahead and start jotting those down in the chat if you feel compelled. and I'll start to talk a little bit about some of the imagery that maybe came through or could have come through. And I thought this is something I haven't quite done it in this way yet. So I'm going to buy us some time to allow you to communicate anything that may have come to you so that you can share your inspirations and what came through in the meditation. And I want to kind of go through and share some symbols without knowing what it is yet and see if it's helpful or complementary to what you get. And I want to do this because I'm just kind of assuming the role of, if I was going to send some information to try and communicate to you, how would I get across information about this person? It's like a game of Pictionary or charades, right? So I'm going to pick some things. When it comes to feelings or a sensation you might have felt in your body, you may have felt peaceful. You may have felt also like a peaceful warrior. You may have felt a sense of freedom in your heart. That comes up sometimes when I read for people, and I'll say, oh, I'm feeling this sense of like expansion in my heart center. Freedom is a big thing for you. Something like that might have been a feeling that was coming through. Some imagery or some symbols that might have been interesting but helpful. You might have seen the Quaker Oats guy. You may have seen images related to the civil rights movement, the peace movement, the pride movement. You might have seen a pride flag. You might have had a hit about Pennsylvania, perhaps. When it came to sounds, you might have heard songs, soulful songs. You might have heard songs about freedom. So those are some things that I'm going to offer up from my point of view as things that might have been relevant. Oh, so we've got some people guessing here. Derek's guessing George Washington, and Angie is guessing Abe Lincoln. I would love to know for you, Derek and Angie, how did you arrive at those conclusions? And if there was anything that came through, what was the imagery, or what was the sensation, or what were the sensations? What were some of the symbols, or what are some of the inspirations that were arising in you that may have led you to that decision? Because I really want to get into the journey. Okay, Derek got the Washington Monument. So go ahead and keep elaborating on what came through, because I just shared some stuff that might be relevant. And I'm going to now reveal to you our mystery character, as people I'm sure are still typing and stuff. And then I'm going to tell you about who this person is and what they were all about. But I've already given you some tips here. So the person that I chose to have us meditate on tonight was Byron Rustin. Byron Rustin is, depending on who you are, I guess, and what you read about, Byron Rustin is a very important figure in civil rights history. Byron Rustin was a gay black man who served as kind of the right-hand advisor to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the March on Washington, and bringing nonviolence and kind of ratcheting up Dr. King's nonviolence in the black community struggle for racial justice back in the 60s. So Byron Rustin is a bit of a lesser known figure in that he tended to play a behind the scenes role in his organizing activities because of not only was he a black activist, but also he was gay. And if you listen to his story and you read about his story and you learn about him, that he had been arrested several times, essentially for being gay. And he had been imprisoned several times. And so he's a very interesting character in that he was very committed and dedicated to nonviolence as a way of life. And this was rooted in his background as a Quaker. So that's why I threw out the Quaker Oats thing as kind of a weird symbol that might have came through. But his Quaker religion was the foundation for his belief in nonviolence. And he was a student of Gandhi. And when you read about the history and his influence on the civil rights movement and the civil rights campaign, and his sort of collaboration with Dr. King, is the people that knew him considered him, they thought he was going to be the next Gandhi. That's how committed and dedicated he was to nonviolence as a way of life. And there's a very interesting story about Byron Rustin when he was incarcerated. So he had been incarcerated basically for because he was caught in a homosexual act, and he was jailed for that. And while he was in jail, he was being beat up by some of the prisoners, and he was being beaten with a stick. And Byron Rustin, as he was being beaten with a stick, picked up another one and asked him if he wanted to use this as well. And the guy stopped, dead in his tracks, walked away from the whole thing, and completely left him alone after that. This is how dedicated this man was to nonviolence in sort of willfully asserting human dignity and withstanding the blows, so to speak, and the suffering. He was very committed to this, and he played a huge role in bringing Dr. King along in terms of how to really ramp up his nonviolent strategy with the civil rights movement. But because of his past incarcerations, because of his lifestyle being a gay black man in that time, he played a behind the scenes role because they didn't want it to cause political turmoil. Super fascinating figure. I learned about him through a podcast called The Thread, and they did a whole segment on nonviolence, and it was just a fascinating story. And I've done other research about him, and a powerful figure in our history that is not very often talked about, and he was posthumously. How you say it? Why is that so hard to say on camera? Awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by Barack Obama in 2013. So some other imagery that might have came through could have been related to that. So I wanted to pick this character, this figure, because one, I figured not a lot of people would know who they were, but also there's a lot of rich symbolism, and things that could have came through that maybe would have given us a sense of what this person was like, what they did, what they fought for, what they stand for. I thought it would be just an interesting choice, and we would all get to learn about it a little bit. Okay, let's see what y'all got. So Derek got the Washington Monument, completely relevant. I saw the eyes of the dollar bill. That's very interesting. Rebecca says, I'm not good at this game. I kept seeing an eye, a red rose with thorns, a chain, but a strong one. I saw binoculars and bull with horns, kind of snorting. Interesting. I had a friend ranting to me on the phone just before, so I was not focused. Oh, well, that doesn't help. That might have been the bull snorting. Derek says, I saw a documentary on Netflix featuring him. Yeah, a really fascinating figure. So powerful when you hear about his journey and his stories, and just how strictly he was committed to nonviolence as a way of life. It's really beautiful. Obviously, the Washington Monument is relevant. The March on Washington was sort of his one of his babies. He was the main organizer behind the scenes that rallied the communities to come together for that. So a really cool figure to talk about and to tap into, and to see if we could get information surrounding this person, this figure in history. It's also a great time to highlight it as we watch the emergence of a new age of equality and a struggle for freedom starting to come more and more to fruition as we step into higher dimensions of consciousness and standing for equality for our brothers and sisters, not just those who look like us, and those who sound like us or live like us, but for our brothers and sisters of color, and also for those in the LGBTQ community who continually are pressing on to achieve equality in this nation. So a fascinating, complex figure. I would totally recommend, if you're into the study of nonviolence and American history, looking into Byron Rustin, just because he's a very inspirational figure. So check him out. Hey Derek, if you wouldn't mind sharing the documentary that you watched, I would love to know what the name is. So Elizabeth says she got a loud person. You know what's interesting? I don't know if he was a particularly loud person. If you hear his voice, he has a really interesting voice. It has a very distinct cadence, and he was actually a very talented singer. So in some of the stuff that I've seen, they've had clips of him singing songs with the congregations and stuff that he was involved in. And he had a beautiful voice. So that was something else that could have came up, right? Some sort of a singing or a voice that was distinct. Rebecca says he was a singer. He was a singer. And I don't know if he was like ever known for being a singer necessarily, but he was definitely, that was part of the tradition and part of the worship and the study and part of the soul that he brought to the movement. So pretty cool figure right there. So how do you all feel you did? I know not everybody shared what was coming through, but I'd be curious how that was for you, or what experiences kind of came up. Like I said, it's important when we sit and do these to really focus on not getting to a destination, but the journey there, and being open to information and asking questions and following up. You know, I've talked several times this week about being a detective when we're asking questions and doing any kind of introspection or working with our intuition, because stuff we get at the top could be foggy. And it's the same thing when we're reading the tarot cards. We can get information from kind of everything at first glance, but it's helpful if we learn to continue to inquire. And I feel like it's a skill that is acquired over time, because I don't know why. I'd be curious to kind of like look at the psychology or hear from you guys why you think this might be, but it does seem that we're so used to kind of like rapid fire, like a news cycle and TV shows we watch, or they move quick, you know, and commercials are fast and all that kind of stuff. And we're very like kind of in and out culture, like things come in and they're gone. We come in and they're gone, and we're bombarded constantly, you know, all this information is coming in. But when it comes to doing intuitive information, we sit down, we meditate, we spend a couple minutes getting to that silent place, and we're like, I got one symbol and it's this person. And like we really jump to conclusions. I definitely have found, and if you watch on Thursday nights, you watch the process, is I will talk about what's coming through. I'll offer it up right away, like what's coming through, and see how it lands. But there's also moments when I'm seeking clarity, and I'll ask, okay, hold on one second, let me ask more questions about why I'm getting this, because I might be getting something really strong, but it's not entirely clear what the symbolism is, or what I'm hearing is referring to, or what I'm feeling is connected to. So I have to get in there and I start to ask questions. Okay, so why am I seeing the Washington Monument? Or what was my point of view? Okay, if I put myself in this person's position, why was I there? And you might get some other information, right? So I really like to encourage us to engage in the process of receiving information, not rushing through it as much as possible, and not being afraid to ask follow-up questions, which is why I ended our session with me just prompting a few other questions, because I hope that maybe you'll pick up a few ideas as to how we can inquire and be working in this space to get information. So Elizabeth says, I just saw mouth open wide but not yelling. I wasn't sure. Yeah, okay, so that's a perfect thing. That's a good thing that we're not sure about. And you can offer up that, like what you offered up to me is you said, was he a loud person? Like you offered up your interpretation. But if you got that and you followed up with the question of, okay, what is this person doing? If you ask the question, are they yelling? Are they singing? Why am I seeing this? Maybe you would have heard a tune, you know? Maybe there might have been a song or some inspiration that came through, and you've been like, oh, okay, I think this might be related to music or singing. You know, so that's one way that you could have worked. You could work with that, Elizabeth, as far as that symbol coming through. A thing that's popping in my mind was I got that symbolism for Disney in a reading sometime, I think it was last week or the week before, and I kept getting very strong. There was a Disney connection, and I asked the follow-up, well, why am I seeing Disney? Because it could be a very broad topic, right? And I got very specifically then followed up with it was work related. So that's a good example of like some very strong imagery that I recently was getting in one of our live sessions that I had to ask follow-up questions to get a little bit more clarity. Because sometimes it can take a broad symbol to catch our attention, and then we have to do a little bit of digging and investigating to figure out, well, what is this specifically talking about? You know? Oh man, Derek has got all kinds of good. Oh, interesting. I did ask, and I got like a movie star or someone on film. Yeah. Interesting. So it's somebody that's in the public eye, which he was, despite his despite his attempts to stay behind the scenes, he was very much working with the public, and obviously organizing, working with people, and I feel it became much more recognized as time went on and people studied the movements and what was going on, that he became more of a figure. But I wasn't around in the 60s, so I don't know. I don't know how public he was. That would be a good question, something to ask, figure out. But cool. All right, folks. So that was there's our Awakening Wednesday for the evening. I hope you had an opportunity to sit in meditation and to seek some information there. Check in with what all the stuff we talked about tonight, and just check in with what resonated and what didn't resonate in your session. Like I like to mention, this is it's a marathon, not a sprint, and this is just like working out. I have completely found that working with our intuitive senses is no different than learning a musical instrument, learning a language, playing a sport, working out. Repetition helps. Flexing the muscles help, and we really have to work it out. If you don't use it, you lose it, so to speak. And the more we use it, the stronger it gets, the more connected we become to it, and the more that we learn to decipher the language of our intuition and what comes through, the sharper it can be, and the more helpful it can be on our journey. Derek says, so I think if I were to do some more digging while meditating, I might see more details regarding this event. Right. Yeah, exactly, Derek. Exactly. There might be other information that comes through related to that helps you go, oh, okay. And it might make more sense. So always be a detective. Ask lots and lots and lots of questions. And I think I might have mentioned this before, but because I've gotten so used to this process, doing intuitive readings and working in meditation, it's translating into the real world. So when there's a lack of clarity in communication with someone, I'd imagine sometimes people might find it annoying that I feel like I have to clarify things. I just sent an email off. Regarding some of the stuff that I'm involved with now with the HOA, and I'm asking for us to have a meeting about really clearly defining this little role that they've put me in, because we've talked about one thing and now they're sending me all this other information, and I'm like, hey, can we have a meeting about clarifying what this is and defining it, because I'm just getting very used to being in that mode, and yeah, maybe some people find it annoying, but don't make assumptions. One of the 4 agreements from Don Miguel Ruiz: don't make assumptions. Assumptions can just kill communication. It can completely throw things out of the loop and off the rails. So especially when I'm doing intuitive work, I don't try to make any assumptions. I want to be really clear about the information I'm getting, even if it means nothing to me. If I'm offering it to someone else and it makes total sense to them, then great. But I'm not going to make assumptions about the information I get. I work very hard and diligently to try and be as specific and detailed as possible, and true to the essence of what I'm getting. And then that's why I don't want to make assumptions. And that's rubbing off in my public life as well, in my personal life. So Derek says, it seems like I had a location, but it was hard to distinguish that. Yeah. Well, yeah, and he would have been very present, obviously, in Washington. He was born in Pennsylvania, so that could have been, his hometown was in Pennsylvania, so that could have been a thing. So, yeah, very interesting. All right, folks, thanks for joining tonight. I'm glad you all made it on. Tomorrow night, we're doing live readings, so I'll be here doing live readings again, as usual, for Thursday night. For those of you who might have missed it in the beginning, I am going to be migrating the group off of the Facebook platform and over to MeWe, where we will begin the daily lives, August 1st. I think technically the first Monday is August 3rd. I'll be doing the lives from MeWe, streaming from a Zoom link. And the group will continue on in the MeWe group, or on the MeWe platform, because it is a place where you are going to see all the content that you're meant to see. You can log into Awakening Soul Force and see all the stuff that we're talking about and we're sharing and we're discussing without it getting buried by Facebook algorithms. You will be able to get on there and not worry about advertising intrusions. You won't have to worry about advertisements or content popping into your feed that you didn't want, that other people, that is being boosted by unknown actors that seek to sow discord and emotionally manipulate us. So all those are very positive things, and I think good for our health and wellness. So I'm migrating to MeWe, and I want to remove myself, my content and viewership and the group from Facebook, because it's designed to keep us locked in here. And the longer it has us here, the more money it makes. It mines our data, it invades our privacy, and I'm done with Facebook. Plus the technology isn't even that great. Drives me nuts. So hopefully it don't block me, because now I'm talking trash about Facebook before the end of the month. But if I disappear out of the Facebook land, know that I've disappeared to MeWe before some sort of a conspiracy starts. All right, everybody, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you, your time, your energy, your presence. I appreciate the opportunity to have this dialogue and to share this information. So stay tuned. We've got a lot of stuff coming up. We'll be migrating off this platform over to MeWe at the end of the month. And tomorrow night, you have Thursday night live readings coming up for you. So I look forward to doing that for you, and I look forward to doing that. Have a great night. See ya.